What is urban?
Urban music to me is just black music. It's just a term that's kind of been hijacked and replaced as a politically correct term so that 97% of the population can feel comfortable buying black music. They don't have to call it black, they can just call it urban. Oh god damn this word. I really hate that fucking word. I feel like some middle-aged guy probably works for the Guardian or the Daily Mail made it up a couple of years ago and everybody's just jumped on it, and it's just another terminology for black music. If it makes people feel comfortable using it, I don't know why, because we all know what you're talking about anyway. You should just say what you mean, call a spade a spade. If it's black music, it's black music.
I totally agree, and I would say soul music being the umbrella of everything that it falls under. If you need to talk about urban music like R&B, hip-hop, whatever, it all comes from soul music.
To say every single genre comes from black music, I can't tell you that because I do not fucking know. But based on the research I've done into the music that I'm into, yeah, it probably has come from black people being oppressed.
You have a lot of people that don't feel comfortable with saying it's black music, so somebody has come up with the term urban to make everybody feel comfortable. Urban music to me is black music. I understand why you're gonna get some people who feel a little bit uncomfortable with saying, yeah, I'm doing black music. Somebody with the powers that be, whoever has created urban music and we've run with it, I don't give a shit. I understand that it's black music and that's cool.
I think it's people that don't know too much about the culture of like soul, hip hop, R&B.
It's an
like
ignorant individual who doesn't feel the need to go and research.
Yeah, exactly. It's for people that I think they just consider, oh, that's what them lot do. Do you know what I'm saying? So what can we group all in one so we know that's what those guys do? It's a bit of a weird one because I actually don't know what urban means, if I'm being completely honest with you, but everyone has an idea.
To make white people feel more comfortable saying that they make that music, saying, oh, yeah, it's not black music, it's urban music, when in actual fact, being white doesn't mean you can't make black music. Urban music is essentially modern day black music. Rock music, everything can essentially be traced back to black music if you go far enough back in its origin. Urban is just a politically correct term for white people to feel more comfortable saying they like black music, or to say they make black music, more to the point. Just means you have to
it's just kind acknowledging where it came from.
That you're doing a music that's
another thing, but see, you know what, another thing that's interesting for me though is that is there white music?
What people fail to forget is black music actually comes from our culture and our history. It's very much tied into one and the same. If you look at our history altogether,
it was used as a form of communication,
exactly,
storytelling,
so many different things, and that's why it's called that. And I think they get their backs up against the wall. That it is very much about our history and about our culture, and that's where it comes from, which is why we call it black music. It's not to say that anyone outside of the black race can't do it. As long as you're doing it and you love it, that's what it's all about. But please acknowledge the fact that it does come from black culture and it comes from black history, and that is why it is called black music. So this urban shit, needs to get rid of it because I don't know what that is.
I'm saying, can we say
but what do you define as white music?
Everything comes from black music, because even if you talk about country and western music, country and western comes from blues music.
But see how you said urban music is like black music? I was under the impression that urban music was street music. I didn't think it was actually a colour. Well, I thought street music is just like that. When you describe even clothes, like urban fashion, streetwear, I just think it's more what's come from the roads. It doesn't really matter what colour it is. Hip hop evolved in the street. I didn't think really soul and stuff came from the street too much. Where does hip hop come from? The street. So was that urban back then? Was that described as urban back then?
This was street parties. This was in block parties.
But do you think that journalists like gave it the term urban back then? Like no. Snips, Chucky, they were all saying that urban is black music. I wasn't aware of that. I don't know, maybe I wasn't really brought up that way or didn't know certain things about it, but I thought urban just meant street. It wasn't particularly a race. Obviously it's gonna be, street is gonna be more associated with black people, but if you're from the street, you're from the street. I grew up on an estate. If you've grown up on an estate, it could be any culture, but you're in the street, and that's considered urban to me. I mean, anyone can make urban music.
Culturally we're different in Britain, because if you talk about the dynamics of race, obviously we know you can be from Brixton, Hackney, whatever, and be of any race. Certain areas might be predominantly black or whatever, but you've still got white people living in council estates here. You've still got, like, we're a lot more mixed up than they are in the States. Essentially in the States, at that time when the music came about, you didn't really have white people, Puerto Rican people, black people all living in the same neighbourhood. So when people were saying urban music coming from the inner city, there weren't really white people involved, or very few.
What about Puerto Rican people though?
But there was Puerto Rican, but essentially Puerto Rican people, if you trace back the heritage of Puerto Rican people, they're black people.
That's what I'm saying, is you can't really say Puerto Rican people are black people because it's from the same neighbourhood.
If you actually look at the descendants, if you go back far enough, even stuff like country and western music comes from blues music, which was originally black music. Any of the kind of Euro dance, you know, that kind of like techno music or whatever, all of that derives from house, which was essentially birthed out of black music that came from disco and soul. Hip hop, obviously. So unless I'm wrong, I'm just speculating. I think classical is probably the only music which doesn't have its origins in black music, but then I might be wrong. Someone could prove me wrong on that.
Hey, in order to understand what urban means,
saying black music, that's what's interesting for me. Like,
it's not interesting because if you know
interesting.
Can I just make a point? This is what I'm trying to say to you. It's not that interesting. If you know your history, then you understand why it's called black music. If you really and truly know it, then you will know. It won't be that hard for you to kind of get.
Basically, what your point is that every single music basically comes from black.
So I understand what you're saying. So what is white? He's basically saying, do white people not have their own identity?
They might do.
They may do, but if it's derived from here, no matter what, it's always going to go back there.
I don't think that everything has come from black music. Some cultures have their own identity somewhere. We're just not aware of it.
And I know with music, I always saying to Snips the other day, music's about a message, you know? It's about what have you achieved after you listen to, like what have you learned after you listen to the song?
So I was a bit kind of like, where do we go with this shit? Because it's all mixed up. Our brain is mixing things up that we don't even know what it means, but we're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to define it. We're trying to act like we've defined it, even though we haven't. So it's just like some kind of hairball where it's just all been mashed up and fuck. No one knows what the fuck to do. Everyone thinks they do know what to do. I don't know what fucking urban means, but I think I have an idea of what it does mean.
In a yard, in a road, in a kebab shop, anywhere, fam. When you're just listening to music, anyhow you become American.
But you said it was alright for gentlemen. You said it was alright for gentlemen.
You come in here,
hold on.
If you're here, if you come in here and say everybody,
No,
you might. I'm just saying, they've done that song. You might look at it.
Can I tell you the difference between the two? Boys to Men can harmonise. They're not. They just singing the same song.